Coverite V2G is an excellent 2 mil pressure-sensitive cast vinyl with some very unique and innovative properties guaranteed to solve all your laminating problems. Not sure? Well, let's check them out. To understand one of the feature benefits of the Coverite V2G, we first need to understand a little bit about film tension and its impact on print curl. Now I've got a little demonstration here on the table. I have a standard pressure-sensitive vinyl over laminate, and I'm going to peel this back and actually affix it down over the top of our digital print. Now before I actually squeegee it all the way across, I'm going to pull back the release liner and put just a little bit of web tension in this direction on the over laminate. Now I'll affix it down and then I'll cut it loose, and we can see the impact of film tension on print curl. Because of the elastic nature of vinyl, when you apply film tension, the vinyl will actually neck in the web direction. Take a close-up look at this rubber band. As I stretch it, you can clearly see how it becomes narrow in the middle. This is referred to as necking. Necking a vinyl film from excess break tension when you're decaling causes the vinyl over laminate to actually become narrower than the mounting adhesive. Here's a close-up view of what that looks like. From the back side of the laminator, we can clearly see how the over laminate is now narrower than the mounting adhesive, exposing the adhesive. Now, not only are we inducing a lot of upward curl by the amount of tension that was applied to this film, this exposed adhesive on some laminators that don't have high-release silicone rollers will actually stick to the roller, pulling out large pieces of material, damaging the rollers. So Dave, I get it. I understand. Film tension, print curl, and necking. You've explained both of those very clearly to me. So when are you going to show me this new material and how it's going to solve those problems? Well, it solves a lot more than just these problems, but I have one more relative to film tension that we need to cover first. Another problem I observe all the time with operators is they see a few lines coming around the top main roller of their lamination film. They immediately reach over and apply more break tension to the upper supply shaft, thinking that this is going to make all their problems go away. Well, we've already seen two problems associated with excessive break tension, the print curl and the necking. So what we need to realize is that there is a correlation between the break setting and the web width measured in PLI, or pounds per linear inch. A break setting that works for a wide web is not the same break setting for a narrow web. Using the same would have too much break force on the narrower web. Not only that, during the lamination process, when you're going through a roll of material, this roll of material becomes progressively smaller. So reducing the break force during the production run becomes necessary because of the leverage that you lose as the material gets smaller. Well, you know, this is a lot of stuff to know and to learn and to monitor and think about when you're laminating. What if one lamination film, let's say Coverite V2G, could make all of that go away? Well, let's take a look at how that's done. I've webbed up the laminator with the AGL Coverite V2G, and one of the first things that you'll notice is that the Coverite V2G uses a clear polyester release liner. This provides an excellent adhesive coat weight on the cast vinyl. I'm also running AGL's Easy Sled KP here on the bottom because we're actually going to do some single-sided laminating. I've got a beautiful image here in front of me that was printed on an HP 8000 with solvent inks onto a white pressure-sensitive vinyl. Now, to demonstrate the power of Coverite V2G, unfortunately, we're going to have to sacrifice this image. I'm going to cut it up into 3 separate pieces. On one piece, we'll leave it blank, unlaminated. The other 2 pieces, I'm going to mark those, one with an L for low tension and one with an H for high tension, and we'll adjust the film tension of the Coverite V2G as we process these through the laminator. The first piece of this image that we're going to process through is the one marked with an L for our low tension example. I'll start this into the laminator and circle this L here. What I want you to notice is that one of the advantages of using the AGL Encore is the fact that we have a digital readout here. The lower the LED, the more we can see that we're actually running a low tension setting. We'll adjust this for our next example. The second piece of this image, it's marked with the H, we want to process through the laminator too. But before we do that, I'm going to turn the brake setting on the RTS brake here on the Encore all the way to maximum. So here you can see all of the LEDs are lit up. Now we can process this print through the laminator under a high tension setting. Our two prints are coming out of the laminator, and I'll trim these off, cut them loose from the web here, and we'll take them over to the table and see our results. I finished out the trimming of our two examples, and you can clearly see how the low tension has less curl than the high tension. But what you actually can't see is this. Coverite V2G comes with a polyester pre-mask. I'll use a piece of tape to peel back the polyester pre-mask. You can see it right here as I remove it. It's covering the top of the cast vinyl. Once I remove this material, you'll be able to see just how flat the graphic will lie. Now, if you didn't quite catch that, we'll do it one more time. Remember that Coverite V2G comes with a built-in polyester pre-mask. I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the low tension sample that we made. Here you can see I'm removing the polyester pre-mask. It comes off with little to no effort. And now we're going to compare our unlaminated, our low tension example, and our high tension example to the original print before we started to over-laminate it. In this split screen, the top picture shows where I had just finished cutting the decal into 3 sections, and I was labeling it with a Sharpie. Compare this to the bottom photo where I laminated the 2 sections of the decal, one with low tension and one with high tension. And you can clearly see there is no difference, even with the high tension example. This is because the rigid polyester pre-mask actually shields the vinyl from seeing any of those high tension settings that you may have placed on the film, and those problems that are commonly associated with high tension, such as upcurl and all of the problems associated with necking a vinyl film. You'll also have the additional benefit of no longer having to worry about maintaining an ideal separation point of the release liner here, because the polyester pre-mask located here is actually going to keep the vinyl from stretching or necking when you process it through the laminator. I know it sounds like a commercial, but it's not. To really understand the additional feature benefits of Coverite V2G, let's take a look at how it solves problems that you have when mounting pressure-sensitive vinyl decals. They vary a lot from a traditional laminated paper print, and here's why. When you remove the release liner from a pressure-sensitive vinyl graphic, it becomes very elastic and has the ability to stretch and elongate. Maintaining its proper size through the mounting process becomes very difficult. Compare this to a traditional laminated paper print. Once the release liner is removed, the paper actually maintains its dimensional stability. This makes mounting a paper decal much easier than a solvent-based vinyl decal. Now let's compare the vinyl decal to a vinyl decal that's been over-laminated with a vinyl laminate. If we remove the release liner, we can still see that the vinyl is very stretchy and has the ability to elongate. So let's see how the polyester pre-mask in the Coverite V2G is going to eliminate this problem. I'm going to over-laminate our solvent-based inkjet print with the Coverite V2G, and then we can take it over to the table and take a close-up look at how the polyester pre-mask really makes the graphic very rigid and stiff for our mounting process. I've trimmed the excess from around the sample that we just laminated, and I want to show you that even when you remove the release liner from the pressure-sensitive vinyl decal, how the pre-mask that's built in with the Coverite V2G makes the dimensional stability of this graphic unbelievable. And this is really going to help during the mounting process. Now let's compare that to what we started with which is your traditional solvent-based inkjet print on a pressure-sensitive vinyl. You can see how elastic that is and how difficult it would be to mount this, especially when you're starting with a long leading edge working with a large panel like a 4x8. But let's look at some of the other feature benefits of how this pre-mask is going to help during our production process. One great example is if you're doing a rather large image, let's say 8 foot by 8 foot, and it's going to be tiled over multiple panels. Now I've scaled this down on the table so it'd be easy to see. Our 8 foot by 8 foot image will be mounted to 2 individual 4 foot by 8 foot panels. Failure to apply a pre-mask to this image prior to mounting each individual panel will result in the image skewing, shifting, or elongating. When the job is completed, the 2 panels will be misaligned or not line up. Let's take a look at the old school way of doing this. It involves 2 passes through the laminator and requires a lot of steps. There's the loading the over laminate, webbing the laminate, laminating the decal, unwebbing the laminator, unloading the roll of over laminate, trimming the decal, loading the pre-mask, webbing the pre-mask, and pre-masking the decal. Imagine cutting all of those steps in half, going from 2 passes through the laminator to just 1 pass. Now it's as simple as load your Cover-Eye V2G and web up the laminator. You'll be applying a pre-mask at the same time that you're over-laminating your decal with all of the problems that we've talked about solved. Additionally, because of the clear polyester pre-mask on the Cover-Eye V2G, it's a lot easier to see your registration and crop marks to trim your decal before you mount it. Compare this to what you see with the traditional pre-mask. Of course, my favorite is that I can be a little rough with the finish because it's protected by the pre-mask when I'm moving a ruler around, lining it up to trim out my print. And finally, you can see as I get ready to mount this decal, how when we peel back the release liner and fold it over, the decal handles more not like a pressure-sensitive vinyl decal, but more like a paper decal, making it far easier to move around and position to the correct alignment on our mounting substrate and tacking down the leading edge. So now, mounting a pressure-sensitive decal printed with a solvent-based inkjet printer has never been easier. And when you finish mounting your graphic, you can always leave the pre-mask in place to protect the graphic during shipping. Just be sure to remember to tell the customer to pull the pre-mask off before they display the image. Here's a great way to do that. I'll place a little sticker in the corner and fold the ends up underneath the pre-mask so the polyester pre-mask is easy to remove. The last item I'd like to talk with you about in this video is a common misconception that solvent inks don't fade. Not true. Using AGL's Cover-Eye V2G will solve all of the laminating problems that I've showed you in this video, and it can actually double the life of your prints. I'm Dave Goetter, and on behalf of everyone at AGL, thanks for watching.